This segment is brought to you by JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today.
You're listening to The Reel Down, sponsored by Ketch Photo Release Tournaments. This is your premier tournament source. Here are your hosts, Sam Jones and Dan Perry.
All right, welcome back to The Reel Down on the Paddle and Fin Network. We appreciate everybody listening in this crazy time right now. We have an epic guest tonight. His name is Greg Nosar, and he is from the Bent Rods podcast. And also, if you've been seeing it on Facebook, all around the internet, that there's a new bracket challenge, a new tournament series coming out, and Greg is a mastermind behind that. And we wanted to get him on Bass Bracket Kayak Bass Bracket Tour, and we wanted to have him on. So, Greg, thank you for being on the show.
Daniel, thank you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good, man. How you doing?
Good.
You live in D.C., right?
I live just south of D.C. Yep. It's a little crazy down here, man. It's pretty unreal when you're driving around and there's absolutely no traffic on the road, which is unheard of around here. So it's just like a ghost town. It's strange times we're living in.
How is it? How's the virus there? I don't even know.
It's really, it's concentrated in several areas. I live in a town called Stafford, Virginia, and really we're a hotbed in the D.C. area for the virus. So, we're taking extra precautions by far. My mother wound up actually contracting the virus. She's a nurse practitioner, and a patient came in and she wound up contracting it. She's 70 years old, but she wound up kicking it, man. So,
wow,
in terms of, so she had, she had the symptoms and she was down and out for a little bit, but she wound up, getting rid of the virus, which is great. Praise the Lord for that. But, man, I tell you, it knocked on her butt for sure. And it's a real deal. It is the real deal. So I can tell you from personal experience, it's not something we want to mess around with.
For sure. And we want to apologize if most people listen on the podcast, but a few people watch us on YouTube, and we were having connection issues. I guess just everybody on the internet at the same time, not going to work, things like that. And we're recording this on Wednesday, so there's no video to it, although it should still be on YouTube. But just wanted to apologize. And Sam wasn't able to be on tonight, but he'll be on the next one. So, all right. So let's get right to it. I signed up for it. You got my money.
Yeah.
Where did the Kayak Bass Bracket Tour come from? What started this?
Honestly, with all the seriousness of what's going on, one of my things that I do is try to get away from, everybody and everything is just go out kayak fishing. And I'm a competitive kayak fisherman. I've been doing it for a couple of years. I've been traveling on the tours. I've fished Hulk. Not Hulk, but Hobie. I fished the KBF events and everything else. And, seeing all the local tournaments go down and see KBF go down. They just announced tonight that they're not doing May as well. I am a competitive guy. I've played sports my entire life. I'm just competitive by nature. And one of the things I love, especially to me, I think the springtime is the best time for sports. You've got the Masters, you've got the NCAA March Madness, you've got the NFL draft. And the basketball and everything else is going on. There's hockey season. It's just a great time for
just starting. Yeah.
Baseball, go Nats. We are national champions.
Go White Sox.
Yeah,
go
Nats.
Dude, we tried to pick up a couple of your pitchers this year, but they just.
Well, you can have our scrubs, man.
Money,
that's
I guess.
Okay. That's right. So, but being in sports, I think any sportsman has a competitive nature to it, whether it's man versus beast or man versus man or what have you. And I think that drives everybody. And so we didn't have March Madness this year. I mean, it's the number one gambling event besides the Super Bowl, right? I mean, it's just one of these things that people love the competitive nature of it. And I'm like, I'm thinking, what is the best, safest way to be able to have competitive bass fishing? And I thought to myself, well, okay, so why don't we just open up nationwide a bracket, spread 64 guys across the nation, make them use their common sense, not fish, 64 guys on the same water, but utilize their talents and their competitive nature, put 64 guys on a bracket and let them compete against each other and spread it over a couple weeks. And we have some great fishermen in the kayak world. We have some great talent. Why not put their talent to use on their home waters and take on somebody else, let's say from Texas to Florida, let them go head to head at each other and see who wins, and it's a single elimination, one and done. And, maybe 16 seed might beat a hammer. You never know.
Hey, I'm a 15. Come on.
Well, there you go. I mean, you never know. I mean, it was a random draw. I don't know all 64 guys. I really don't. Yeah. And so we just randomly drew out. Well, first of all, let me say this. The response was amazing. The feedback, we crowdsourced it on Kayak Bass Nation and other sites, and people were all about it. Because, again, people want to fish, and they want to do it competitively. But we also have to keep in mind how to do it safely. And so it fulfills many, many needs across the board. And so I think it just makes sense. And, it's grown into a monster, to be honest with you. I mean, some of them, it's been 99% overwhelmingly positive. And people just have this interest about, it could shake up the kayak world. It could shake up bass fishing the world, because as you go and as you travel and as you play, go to these different tournaments, let's just look at the financial aspect of it, right? You have entry fees up to $250, $300, maybe $500. Who's going to pay that when they're losing their jobs? Who's going to pay to fish and travel outside their state and to go out to a place where there's 100, 200 people, 500 people that's gathered in the same spot? People are going to be a little bit weary about doing that, especially within the near future. This will allow you to fish at home. It's a cheap alternative. You're still competing, and you're not spending an arm and leg to go do it, right? We, I'm bouncing off a lot of friends and just kind of, just seeing what their opinions are. And I'm not the kind of guy that's just going to take my own thoughts and just throw everybody else's opinions out. This tournament is all 64 guys who are in this tournament. It's their tournament. It's your tournament, Daniel. And you have as much say-so in this tournament as everybody else. Because, you've put your money into it. You're an investor in the tournament, and you should be able to, tell us what we need to do, what we're not needing to do. And it's gone from, this one tournament now, and we're getting messages saying, hey, look, man, you need to do a tour because we need to fulfill, our competitive nature, not just from this one time. We need to do it in May. We need to do it whenever, So I think it's a great alternative, man. And again, if you're any guy or lady that loves the NCAAs and loves that thrill of beating, the underdog beating the giant, this is your opportunity to do so, because there are hammers in this tournament. These are guys that have, made their name in the kayak bass fishing world. And if you can go on your home waters and you take on that giant and you beat them, man, that's an accomplishment.
So if you said there was 5% negative, what's the negative of this? I guess my first question was, whenever you did it, I thought, well, why hadn't anybody done that before? It's one of those things where, well, that makes total sense. Why haven't we done that before? But also, I think there was always a little bit, to me, I would be a little bit worried about competing against somebody, from Florida and the Texas guys. Like, that's the concern. But it's almost like maybe because, I hate to say something positive came from the coronavirus, but you were able to get past that hurdle because it was like, well, screw it, let's do it and just go with it rather than be worried about something like that. And I do want to say that they did the live 5 the other day, and Derek Brundle, way up in the Northeast, whooped everybody who was
there you go,
even in the South. So yeah.
Well, that's it. Because you got to think of it like this, Daniel. Texas and Florida have been known, obviously, to carry the big bass. Let's be honest. They've got, Florida strain bass for a reason. It's well documented, well known. But let me say this, man. The conditions in Florida might not be as perfect as the conditions in, let's say, we had a guy sign up today and replace. He's going to be in Wisconsin. He could be on fish, man, and all he needs is 5 fish. And let's say it's 85 inches, and the guy in Florida might catch 3 or 4. You never know, man. Yeah. And so just because you're in the region, it's generally known for the bigger fish, but man, not everybody catches those big fish every single day. And so, we got people in Maine fishing, smallmouth bass. I don't know if you ever been to Lake Erie. But if you catch, they're not smallmouth bass in Lake Erie. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could easily go to Lake Erie and put a whooping on anybody in Texas.
So what's the whenever you had 64 come out the first time, it seems like you signed up 64 and everybody was like, hey, what happened? I wanted to get in on this too. So you've already started another one, right?
Well, yeah. So again, kayak, I mean, look, we're not in competition with anybody. We are there to facilitate a need, right? And we're not trying to, be the giant here. We're grassroots. We're starting this up from the grassroots here. We want people who love to fish the tournament. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about, right? We found out that KBF is not doing live events in May, which is the right decision, by the way. I mean, that's a smart decision. It's the right decision. But man, I want to fish, and so we had enough really of people who were messaging us to say, hey, look, next time you do a bracket, let me know. We could have filled up another bracket, I mean, easily. So I mean, the amount of response and the amount of people that were trying to commit to the bracket. The 64, we had probably another 64 that were in line to fish whenever they can. So we're going to open it up another May bracket. We're going to probably start the registration as soon as this podcast comes out. It's probably going to be on a Friday. We're going to start registration for May. And again, just trying to facilitate some sort of competitive nature that we can, all compete and have fun, man. This is all for fun, guys. I mean, this is all for fun. This is not something that we want to take over the world with. We're just trying to just facilitate a need right now. And I think it's a great way to do it. I really do.
And how many people are going to be in that one? Is it going to be 64?
It's going to be 64. Yeah, it's going to be 64.
Okay. I didn't know if you were going to go with a double it up and go.
Well, no, we're talking to some tournament directors out there, and they've contacted me, and they love the idea, and some tournament directors are starting to do that. Again, it facilitates a need to where they don't have to have all those guys in their local market competing on one body of water and have the meetings afterwards. But what we're thinking is, hey, why don't we work together as regions and come together? Like, think about it like this. If you have a Northeast region, why can't the Northeast region get together in their clubs up there, get a 64-man bracket together up there? And the same with Southeast, Midwest, North, Midwest, South, Southwest, and Northwest. Why can't those regions that are already clubs put together a multi-club bracket of 64 guys there, have them all compete, have them get down to the final four, and then you have four. All you need is really 16 different regions. Exactly, and have them qualify into a national bracket, and that quote unquote will take care of the national championship per se. And here's what you do: you compete on your own waters, right? You have 64 guys that qualified into a national bracket like the NCAA's. Let them all compete rounds 64, 32, and Sweet 16 at home, and then go to a final Elite 8 at a designated spot somewhere like Guntersville or Kentucky Lake, and that Elite 8 goes out and they compete on the same water at that time, and then you go from 8 to 4, the final four in the championship, and have have a bigger payout.
And at that point there'll be enough money in it to make it work doing a trip like that.
Yeah.
So so one of the things that I thought was cool about this is not only can you fish in it, but you can also be a spectator, and that's one of the funnest things about where we have the NCAA Madness, where you get to fill out the bracket. So how can people do that? How can people fill out a bracket for this?
Yeah, man. So on our website is bassbracket.com. We've already created a website. I mean, it's bassbracket.com.
It's like all the stuff you're doing is happening like every day. It's like every day I get on your page and you've got a website, or it's turned into a tour, and I mean it's you are moving at light speed here.
Well, you have to. I mean, either you move or die, right? I mean,
That's right.
and either look, if you're not going to do it now, then somebody's going to do it, right? So you might as well go ahead and take advantage of it and just hey, put this thing together and here's the thing is, the people who don't like it or are negative about it and like, what are you doing? You don't have to fish it. I mean, it's that simple, right? You have other tours and other options out there. But man, if you want to do something fun and compete one-on-one and talk a bunch of trash and maybe bet some beer to your buddy that you're in the bracket with or whatever, it gives you an opportunity to do so. But we did put a site together called bassbracket.com. You could follow along. There is a pool out there. There's a guy by the name of Marcus Coates that posted in Kayak Bass Nation that he is going to be the one who's going to be handling the bass bracket collection, whatever money it's going to be put in. I think it's like $5, $10 or whatever it is. And you can fill out your bracket, send it to him, and he'll keep track of all of it. And hey, it's our March Madness. Why not?
That's very cool, man.
Yeah.
And so let's get into some of the specifics. How much and some of the rules?
Yeah. So I mean, the first one we did, we're doing it as a trial basis, right?
Yeah.
We're doing it. Look, Dwayne from
Tourney X.
Yeah, he was nice enough to put stuff together and let us do it. Let us do it, on a cheat. But Dwayne is now having to reprogram a bunch of stuff for us, and he's willing to do so. But there's costs associated with it. So the first round, we only charged like $25 to enter into this bracket, and then $5 goes to Tourney X, and the rest goes into a pot. And then we have a $5 big bass. So all in all, it's $30. So yeah, I mean, it's not bad,
And so what are some, you're going by KBF rules, other than the strict KBF, what, I know that there's at least one exception. Can you tell us like where the rules differ than KBF?
Yeah, we are following KBF. Look, from a safety aspect of it, they've got it all covered, right? I mean, the number one rule of kayak bass fishing is safety.
PFD.
Okay?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we will disqualify your fish if your PFD is not bundled all the way. I mean, those judging rules will take place. You have to adhere to all that, and they do a fantastic job with it. So why try to reinvent the wheel? They do a fantastic job laying it all out. But one of the things that's just I have experienced, in tournament fishing, and I don't want to call anybody out, but it is what it is. I think an angler, if they're going to enter into an individual tournament, the individual angler is responsible for their individual fish. I don't think it's right. This is just Gregology here. This is just, me kind of talking on my pedestal. When I'm fishing in a tournament, I want to know if I'm fishing against an individual angler, or if I'm fishing against teams. We've had situations in very big tournaments to where these guys will get together and they'll call each other on the water and say, "Hey, look, man, I'm not doing so well," and the other guy's like, "Oh man, I'm slaying them over here. Get over here. I'm on fish." I'm making a rule that says, man, you cannot, if you're fishing the same body of water as a competitor, you got to find your own fish. You can't be calling your buddy over and say, "Hey, look, man, there's a bunch of beds over here. Go ahead and snag them." You know what I mean? That's not the way things work. You need to use your own talents. And then look, man, if you get skunked that day, at least you got skunked with pride. But to me, if you got to call a buddy to catch fish, that's not too much of a talent to me.
Yeah, and I'm 100% in agreement with that. I've seen some things out on the water where people end up, and I just it's unless it's a float like that, I can understand because you have to do it. But
yes.
Just water, things like that, fishing together, calling each other. I mean, there is a level of it takes it from an individual sport to a team sport, and that's not what this tournament is.
No, exactly. And I don't, if we could do a 64 team bracket if you want to, but that's not what this is. It's an individual fishing tournament,
So the other rules are, so you can use a blue sky, hog trough, and catch board.
Yes, that's right.
And motors, totally good, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. And so we talked about the seating, and so what all it's that again, and it seems like we do this every show where we're having to give Dwayne over at Tourney X props. Like, what all is he having to do? Do you know what he's having to do to make the bracket system work?
Yeah, man, it's brilliant. I mean, we spent quite a bit of time on the phone just yesterday talking about what we wanted to do. So, you got to think of each round as each individual tournament, right? So we created 6 separate tournaments in Tourney X to where you have a round 64 and you have 64 guys in that tournament, right? And they're all registered in. They are going to fish a 2-day event. The best 5 fish per that day that they fish, the anglers fish will count. And then you just compare the fish to who you're playing against on the bracket. Well, then I'll go in manually, and it's already been created another tournament. The 32 that advance will be manually put into another tournament called Bass Bracket Tournament Challenge Round 32. And then it's the same thing. Best 5 fish for those 2 days for each day that the anglers fish. And then they'll be placed into the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, Final 4, and the championship. So there are 6 different tournaments that are created for Bass Bracket Tournament Challenge, but the anglers don't have to do anything but win, and they'll automatically be placed into the other tournament.
Man, it really seems like almost without that app, like a lot of stuff wouldn't be fishing tournaments right now. So, I mean, congratulations to him and his team for doing this. I mean, I'm sure iAngler has some great stuff going on too, but Tourney X seems like they've really kind of been saving the day lately.
Yeah, he did a great job. He really did. I'm super. I mean, to pick up the phone and call me immediately, I just basically put in a request to kind of make sure that we were okay about doing it and how to go about setting it up on the back end. And he jumped all over it and did a great job. So kudos to Dwayne out there.
Very cool. So let's talk about payout. So it's 100% payback. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Other than the Tourney X fees, right? That's one thing.
Right.
Like,
yep.
Get that out of the way. People are, 100%. So there's no complaint. Obviously, no complaints there unless you come up with a little bit more. You throw in, that'd be great. But nobody does that. I'm just kidding.
Hey, listen. We want sponsors. I mean, the whole thing is to grow. Look, we want to maintain a low fee for people to enter again, especially during this time. But man, if we get some sponsors to throw in some money and sweeten the pot, and we'll do everything we can to promote them as much as we can and partner up with them and make this a big deal. That would be awesome. That's the whole thing. So yeah, we're doing 100% payout. We're gonna. I'm a firm believer. If you win a tournament, you should get a lot of the money. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're gonna be doing a first prize all the way through the Elite 8.
So top 8. And do you have any idea what kind of percentage you're doing? Or have you figured that out yet?
Yeah, we're working it out. It looks like it's gonna be like 40 to 42% payout for the winner, and then it's gonna be subsequent percentages for the other payouts. Maybe like 20. I think it's 21, 22% for the second place, and then it's gonna be broken down, to the Elite 8 from that point. Now the Elite 8 people who do not advance to the Final 4 will get all paid the same.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So those 4, and then the other 2, and then 1 and 2. So
that's right.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 2, and 3 and 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
That's right. You got it.
Okay, cool. So that's cool. And so what are the hours for the tournament? I know there's different time zones. How's that going to work?
Yeah, so it's going to be your local time zone. It's going to be between 7 o'clock in the morning, lines in. And I want people to check in, just kind of keep everything safe. You can check in online on the app, and then lines out 5 o'clock p.m. your local time. So we have a guy from California that's going to be a little bit different. He's obviously going to have about a 2 to 3 hour delay in his postings, but that's just the way it is. We can't penalize him for being out in California.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
you're probably right.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful out there. I'm still watching videos online of like California and how yeah.
I played Pebble Beach, man. It's beautiful. Golf, man. It's just gorgeous. Mm-hmm.
So with the leaderboard, so it being 7 to 5 local time, is there going to be a shut-off time, or are you going to be able to see the leaderboard the whole time?
I'm going to be able to see the leaderboard the whole time, and there is a closing time. Attorney X will not let you submit past. Well, we had to do it 8 o'clock Pacific time because, again, allowing the gentleman to fish till 5 p.m. their time. But you got to remember, the fish submissions with Attorney X are time coded, so it will let us know the time of submission. and the time of catch. So yeah, all that's stamped every time that you take a picture on your cell phone.
I got you. So so you'll be able to upload until 8 o'clock Pacific then? Is that how it's, or is it going to be 5
No,
p.m.
5
your
p.m.
local time? They have to be.
Your local time. Your last submission has to take place no later than 5 p.m. So if you catch a bass at 4:59, you better unhook it, take a picture, submit it before 5 o'clock. So that's it.
I got you. So is there anybody? It's just you doing this. It seems like it seems like you've done a lot of work for one person. Is why I asked that.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of started it and doing a lot of the legwork. As it gets bigger, and it is getting bigger, I've brought in several people. I've still like help because I can't judge 64 times 5, 300 and something fish. So we've got several judges. Actually, one of the guys, his name is Mike Ortega. He runs the Northern Virginia Kayak Bass Association. He's offered to help judge. I've got a buddy that fishes some tournaments. He's going to help judge. So yeah, we've got some people behind the scenes that are really helping us out. And yeah, I'm proud of it, man. And they're super excited about it. And they just think it's just a cool concept. Hey, look, man, here's the deal. We might fall flat on our face. This tournament might suck. We don't know. But all I know is I want to fish and I want to compete. And let's just freaking have some fun, man. And I'm not afraid to talk trash. I will talk trash to anybody at any time. I don't care who it is. But all I want to do is fish and have fun, man. And whatever comes about it is whatever comes about it. But people seem to love it and love the concept. Let's roll with it, man. Why not?
For sure. And one thing, I just looking at your website earlier today, bassbracket.com. One cool thing about this tournament is it's not every name that you know. It's not. No. Yeah, I mean, nothing against those people who do it. The few people that are able to do it full time are the people that are well-known names in the tournament scene. They do it every tournament, and that's great. There's a few people like that, but some of them are people that aren't. Like on your website, you have a couple featured anglers. I think we had Mark Edwards on the show from West Virginia, and he got second at the Logan Martin event.
Yeah.
For bass, right. The inaugural event. But you also have Marcus Coates, 14th seed, which you said that's random, but I mean, he's a new Canoe team member and not somebody whose name you're going to hear all the time. But that's awesome that you're featuring anglers who you don't hear about all the time. That's very cool.
You're right. I call them NASCAR anglers, man. Every time they talk, they have some kind of sponsor they want to say out of their mouth, and they want to hold up their Coca-Cola bottles and talk about how great their kayak is. Look, those guys are great, and they do have an opportunity to do it full time. But to be honest with you, man, I don't want those guys. I mean, they're great, and they're more than welcome to fish this tournament and have a good time, and I encourage that. But man, I want the Marcus Coates. I want the guys that we can feature that are just grassroots, man. Just dragging their kayak through the mud, and they do it for enjoyment. They don't do it for anything else, and they're not out there trying to promote a product. They're out there to fish. That's who we want in this tournament.
Very cool. So something I should have asked at the beginning. You're a family man, right? What does somebody that creates a bass bracket and loves sports as much? What are you doing for a living that you're creating things like?
I am, believe it or not, I work for BB&T, which is a bank here in Washington D.C. I'm their top mortgage producer. I do a ton of loans. I've done about $1 billion in real estate transactions in the last 15 years. So I'm extremely busy from 6 a.m. till about 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m. I'm talking to clients and I'm doing mortgages and trying to save them, whatever I can, to get their finances in order. I mean, it takes a ton of my time, but I am a family man. We're all working from home. I got a wife and 2 girls. So we try to have a balanced life, but man, at the same time, you've got to worry about yourself sometimes, and this is a release that I love to do.
Yeah.
Work it when you love something, it's not work, right? It really isn't. And I love kayak bass fishing. It is when I'm stressed out, I'll take the kayak out, man. I just want to go see bald eagles and fish, man. That's what I love to do. Right. And it calms me down, man. And God put man on earth, and we're supposed to respect nature and treat nature with respect and see of all God's creation, man. I love getting up in the morning early, 6 o'clock on a Saturday, go see a sunrise, or come home and grab the kayak and go out for like an hour, 2 hours bass fishing, and just go catch a bunch of snakeheads and watch the sun set, man. I mean, it's just, you got to have that release, and it's what I love doing, man. And this is nothing. Putting a couple things on a computer, or that's nothing, man. That's just copy, cut, paste. Do something in Photoshop and move on.
Well, I think you're definitely being humble, because I don't know many people who could have put this together that quick, had it organized, gotten with Tourney X, and done this whole thing in the amount of time that you have, and given people an outlet, like you said. I mean, whether you're a man or a woman, this going out and be able to do a sport, and for me, the same way, has a religious aspect, to be out in creation and this beautiful thing that we were given, and spend time out there in nature and be able to share that with my son sometimes.
That's right.
It allows me to go back home and be a sane person, and to go to work and to have an outlet to do something like this. And you, Dwayne, and everybody else that's helping you judge the fish pictures, I just want to say thank you to all y'all, just for putting this together and giving us something to do, man, because in these crazy times we need something, and being able to space out in a national tournament like this is, I think, is kind of really why I wanted to have you on, why I signed up. I thought it was exciting, and something like has hit right at the right time to give everybody an opportunity to get out and have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. One thing I've learned, especially in business, people are afraid to hear the word no, and they just they shell up. I mean, it's the worst thing they can say is no. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to somebody. I've made contacts. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I made contacts, and I don't care who hears this or not, but I made contacts with KBF and say, look, I would love to have maybe some open championship spots for 2021 for some of our qualifiers, the final 4 guys. I mean, something cool like that would be wonderful, to have the opportunity to promote KBF, right? And have an opportunity to put them on a national stage like this, and have people to the guys that are in the tournament to look something forward to. And I've been basically, to me, a no answer is a no. Okay, and so I want to collaborate. And if you ignore me, or if you blow me off, not only am I not going to collaborate with you, now I'm going to compete against you.
I'm gonna beat you. Yeah.
And that's my mentality, man. So here's the deal. I don't know what KBF's doing. I don't know what they're going to do in the future. But look, I've given every opportunity and every outlet to respond to everything I've asked. And all you have to do is tell me no, and I completely respect the decision. But if you blow me off, now it's time to play the game. And look, all I'm going to do is get an open place to where people can go fish, and they can choose whoever they want to go fish with.
Well, somebody that's obviously successful in their career, I have no doubt that you're going to do what needs to be done to take this where you want to go. Yeah. So we've talked about the tournament, and so how can people find all this? How can people listen to you? I know you have your podcast, Bent Rods.
Yeah.
So tell us about all that, all your social media, everything for the bracket and your podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So yeah, I mean, I'm on YouTube. I don't do a lot of stuff on YouTube, but that's going to change. So I'm at Greg Nosar Fishing on YouTube. I'm on Instagram at GNosar. You can Facebook me, man. I'm active on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, called it's KBBT, or Kayak Bass Bracket Tour. That it used to be called Kayak Bass Bracket Tournament Challenge, but we changed it to Kayak Bass Bracket Tour. For more information. And then, man, you're gonna see other posts on all the major kayak sites, about what's going on here. And I've gotten pretty much free reign to post like that. I don't want to use that or abuse that power, but yeah, you're gonna see a lot more about these brackets coming up here for sure.
Very cool. So where can people find the bracket online?
Yeah, it's called bassbracket.com. Yep, bassbracket.com.
Okay.
And we are going to take this as a tour. And so, there is a cost associated with the back end stuff. And, honestly, some of the money is coming out of our pocket to facilitate the tournament, but that's not a big deal. I mean, but eventually as it gets bigger, there's going to be administrative costs and stuff like that. So we did set up an annual membership. It's $20, to join the tour or the tournament. And then, hey, you'll be able to compete the next time that we do a bracket. That just helps some of the costs with the website and all that stuff. And then, we'll just put the brackets together, man. And all you have to do is sign up and show up. That's it. And have fun.
Sounds good. Seems reasonable. And I'm excited. I'm going to be a part of it. I'm signed up for this one. And I think you've already got me hooked. And a lot of people that are listening and seeing it online, you've got them too. So thank you for putting it together. Thank you for being on the show. Thanks to everybody who listens. And if you're a sponsor out there, there's a great opportunity here to get to be a title sponsor for something that's growing. So I know sometimes we do get those people that listen to the show, well, really all the time. So if you're listening, and just contact Greg and you can get on top of that kayak bass bracket presented by whoever. So yep.
That's right. Absolutely.
Get with Greg and we'll figure it out. But thanks for listening, everybody. Take care, stay safe, and try to distance yourself and have some fun. All right, wear your PFDs.
Go check out the website, guys, paddle_n_fin.com. Also check out YouTube, youtube.com/paddle_n_fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest, feel free to email us at paddle_n_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're doing giveaways, announcements, things like that at Facebook and Instagram at paddle_n_fin. Shout out to our show supporters, Rocktown Adventures, Loveland Canoe and Kayak, Hammered Lures, Fish Mob Lures, TRC Covers, Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com. You can put the Paddle and Fin logo right on your catch board. Don't forget to go over and pick up your JigMasters Jigs. Use promo code PNF20 and save 20% today. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. It helps grow the audience, helps others find our podcast. So please drop a 5-star rating in on the podcast platform you're listening on. Don't forget about the recycled plastics program, you guys. Take your used plastic baits, put them in an envelope, mail them to the address in the show notes. Our man Eric Richards at Hammered Lures melts those down, makes new baits, and donates them to various chapters of Heroes on the Water.